Hello, Tom. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today?
Man, you know what? I couldn't be better. I'm so excited to talk about you or with you, because I know that what you do makes a big difference in a lot of businesses' um, financial life, and so many people are ignoring it. So before we get to that, tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Tom Ladegaard. I'm a business attorney. I'm located in San Diego County, California. In my 19th year of practice, and I went solo 5.5 years ago because I'm unemployable. I couldn't stand working for other people. And that's why I connect with business owners because we see eye to eye. Uh, we want to control our own destiny and choose our own clients. So
Yeah.
I, I love working for myself. I do business litigation. I write contracts. I do copyright registrations. I serve as general counsel, try to keep people out of trouble. But my favorite practice area easily is trademark law.
Awesome. Yeah, you got a big reaction out of me because, that unemployable line. I started using that in about 2010. And I will tell you that when I would say I'm just completely unemployable, people would say, "What do you mean? You can't hold a job? Are you a drunk? I mean, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, I cannot stand working for idiots." And I was like, I refuse to do that.
I
So
love being able to, well, that too, I agree with that. I've worked in some toxic law firms, by the way, the people I struggle to respect. But also, I like controlling my own destiny, choosing my clients, choosing my cases, being able to actually use my intuition. So if I don't feel right about you,
mhm.
I'm not taking your case. I'm not going to work with you. And so I can work with people with whom I'm in alignment. And now I'm happier with the work that I'm doing with people who appreciate me, and I can form good relationships with my clients. And so I can't do that as an associate in the law office.
Right. Did you have experiences working as an employee where you ultimately had to do something, work with somebody that you just like, mm-mm, on a personal level, I do not like this.
Well, I was an associate for 14 years. I can't say all my cases I had that reaction, but I definitely had some where I did not like this person and I did not like the case.
Yeah.
The last firm I was at, I was representing insurance companies, and I learned a lot of valuable things working for them. But I was working for the dark side, and I didn't like it. It's not why I went
No
to
doubt.
school.
No doubt. I was on the other end of that for quite a few years as a professional insurance agent, and mm-mm, yeah, yeah. All right. So let's talk about copyright and trademarks, right? What what is the principal reason that a business should go down that road? And at what point should they entertain this?
So a trademark gives you nationwide exclusivity for your branding, and that includes things like the name of your business. It could be your logo, but I'll try to talk you out of that in a little bit. Um, could be a tagline or a slogan. It could be the name of a product, a service, a module. So there's a lot of things that you can trademark, but what you do is you get nationwide exclusivity for that branding. Nobody else in the United States of America in the same or similar classification as you can use a same or similar name. So you can have certainty knowing that this is mine. I've carved out my space. Nobody else can come here. So now I can go all in on my brand and invest in this brand knowing that it's mine. That's what you get for the trademark.
Okay, so you're talking like Nike with their trademark, just do it.
Sure, that's a tagline. That's an example of a tagline.
Yeah.
And I assume that's a federal registration. I assume I've not looked it up, but I assume it is. But great example. So your other question was, when do you do it?
Yes. When? I'm
And,
a
and
I'm a
so
new business. Do I go do that from the beginning, or do I wait till I have some success?
excellent question. And the answer is you want to do it as soon as possible. So the best time to do a trademark is yesterday, and the second best time to do it is today. So people make the mistake of thinking, well, I'm just going to wait until I'm at a certain benchmark. I'm going to wait till I'm making 6 or 7 figures, then I'll get a trademark. And that's the wrong attitude right there. It's probably rooted in scarcity mindset of people thinking it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to do, and we can talk about that, but it really doesn't. I try to make it accessible. to people because I want people to have the benefits of this. So you want to do it immediately in your business journey.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, gosh, I mean, if you didn't do it and you had some wild success, and then you went to do it and you found out, oh wait, I can't work with my brand because somebody's already, claimed it.
And that's the worst case scenario right there is you invest in your brand, you put all this money out in your website, in your logo, and your social media ads, and then you get hit with a cease and desist, or even worse, a lawsuit. And so then now you got to start over, assuming there's merit to the cease and desist.
Right,
now you
right,
got to
right.
start over. And if you're starting over with your brand, especially if it's your name, the public doesn't know you under a new name. So you're
Right.
starting over in your business is what you got to do. You own the assets, sure, but if you got to rebrand yourself and start over and rename yourself, the public doesn't know you. So you're back at square one. Even worst case scenario, let's say you're making goods. Now you got to go pull them off the shelves.
Yeah. In the business that I'm in, we go and buy a lot of domains, right? I mean, we might buy for a project 50 to 100 different domains. And the reason that we do that is we're trying to protect against anybody encroaching in on our domain name or misspellings, right? And so we're taking this prophylactic step to put that out there. Now, I'm a very, very small player in that game. There are guys that go out there and buy thousands and thousands and thousands of these domains in the hope that one of your people who didn't trademark anything then wants to buy it, right? And now it's like, okay, well, it's like, well, it's my brand. I got it trademarked. Yeah, well, I own the domain. I was there first.
Well, that's called a cyber squatter. And so some people just buy up domains and then sit there squatting on them, hoping someone comes along wanting to buy it. And that's very common. Now, if you actually have a registered trademark, if you have a registration, you could go to ICANN and file a dispute with them and see if you can get that thing released to you because some cyber squatters sitting on it and you actually have the trademark registration.
Which one comes first?
Well, you don't need a URL necessarily to get a trademark. So
right.
to get a trademark, you have to prove that you're using the mark in commerce within that classification.
Okay.
But the name of your trademark, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same name as the URL. Often they are, but they don't have to be.
No, they certainly don't. They certainly don't. Now we had talked about somebody similar to a cyber squatter, and that's the troll, right? The legal troll. And you run across these guys in two different ways, right? You run across these guys from images, and you run across these guys from the ADA, the American Disability Act, on access through websites.
Or access to physical facilities too.
Well, sure. Yeah, let's keep this on the digital side though, because those two things kind of go hand in hand. You have these people that are out there, and they are, okay. Let me back up. It is a legitimate concern that a person who is suffering from some type of disability have access. We can agree on that. But I think what happens is that your buddies, those lawyer buddies of yours,
not my buddies, they keep me busy though.
They go out there and they're just searching for non-compliance. Not that people are actually having difficulty with that business or that website, but they're just looking for non-compliance. And you work with those kind of people too, don't you?
No, I don't. I do represent copyright owners. I do. I get copyright registrations for people. And just to clarify, copyright is a bundle of rights that goes along with content that you've made, whereas trademark protects your branding related to that content. They're
Okay.
different animals, different federal agencies, different purposes, but there is some overlap. But some people juxtapose these concepts. So copyright applies to your content. So for example, and let's use a specific example here, photos, images.
Mm-hmm.
There are images that are online. And a lot of people don't realize that, a lot of people assume that because I pulled it off Google, I can use it. And that's not the truth. That's not the case. You got to be careful. Whoever took that photo owns the copyright to that photo. And if you go and pull it off the internet and throw it on your website and it's owned by somebody else, you're potentially inviting a copyright troll into your house.
Sure. Yeah. That we kind of discussed that, but that's those guys have been around for quite a while. And one of the most aggressive companies that are still going after those image copyright status, and I just forgot the name. They're a major image distributor, right? They are like image. It was a image Shutterstock. Yeah,
Okay.
those guys. They're a huge company, and I think I guess a lot of people must go online and just grab their images and use them without the proper attribution or proper payment and release of rights.
Yeah, it's not enough to just give attribution. It's still infringement. And in fact, by giving attribution, you're signaling, well, I know this isn't mine, which signals willful infringement, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So giving attribution does not help you, and actually it hurts you.
Right. So who's responsible for this? Like, okay, I'm a new business, and I have to go out and get my, well, quote unquote, marketing material together, right? And I do a brochure. I want my website to match my brochure. So I get these images, or somebody gets these images. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's my web designer. Maybe it's my graphic designer. I mean, how does a business owner protect themselves against other folks putting them, in that position?
It's impossible to really truly protect yourself. Like, let's say you hire a contractor. This happened with a client of mine a few years ago. I had an interior designer contractor who hired a contractor to write her blog 12 years ago. And this writer grabbed an image off the internet and put it on the blog. And the interior designer had no idea. I delegated the blog to you. Take care of the blog. Well, that person put an infringing image on their website. And then the copyright troll comes after them. And so how do you protect yourself from that? You could put in your vendor service agreement, when you hire that person, put something in there, a representation that any content you put into this website or blog or article, etc., that you or I own the rights to it, that no third parties can have adverse claims. You could put that in the contract all day, but what happens if they go and do it? You're still going to have to deal with that other party. Because the fact that your contractor did it, it might absolve you of a finding of willful infringement, which helps, but you're still on the hook for the infringement. And so you can look to your contractor for indemnity, like, hey, you're going to pay for this. But that person might not have $20 in the bank.
Right.
Well, you're going to be on the hook. So protect yourself with the contract, but I say also just make sure you go with a reputable contractor, interview them, ask questions of them. Ask critical questions and see how they respond. Like, how do you deal with this? How do you make sure you're not using infringing images? How do you make sure that you own the rights to the images that you're going to put on my website? And if there's a adverse third-party claim, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to defend and indemnify me? Do you have insurance for this kind of thing? These are questions you could ask.
Those are good questions, but you know that in over 13 years, I've never been asked any of those. Never have I been asked those questions.
Well, I'm getting ready to hire a web designer myself, and I'm going to be asking those questions. But that's just because I'm in the trenches fighting these things, and I know to ask these questions.
Well, it's also, it's like the ADA thing, though. That's a relatively new legal issue to worry about.
Cottage industry.
Yeah. And they go through a state and they go through industries, and it's like, it's like you can see the legal filings, all the restaurants in San Diego, all the hotels in Los Angeles. It's just like they're going after perceived deep pocket industries, and they just go one after another. So anyway, hey, well, okay.
Which I regard as legalized extortion, by the way.
Well, there's all kinds of legalized extortion. The Better Business Bureau. Um, hey, look, I'm not accusing them of this. I'm just saying that if you have a business and you don't belong to the Better Business Bureau, you might have more difficulty removing a bad review than if you belong to the Better Business Bureau.
There's a company that rhymes with help that has the same ethos.
They're second on my list. Absolutely. Yeah. A quick story about them. They again, they rhyme with help. They had this practice, and I don't know if they still do this, but they had this practice where they were very aggressive, calling small businesses up on the phone and say, hey, you need to advertise and get a business account with us and start advertising through our system because you're going to get more business, right? And business owners being business owners say, well, no, I'm not interested. And then that all of a sudden they would find that they have all these negative reviews on that platform. It's like, wait a second. Well, how do I get these removed? Well, if you advertise with us and become one of our members, then we have other tools that you can use to get rid of the reviews. They're not saying that they will remove the reviews if you pay them, but they have ways that you can do it, but you can only do it if you're a member. A lot like the Better Business Bureau.
I've also heard about positive reviews not making it to the surface, not being visible, and getting basically just rejected. Yes. I analogize this to, it's a nice business you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
I've heard of. I've actually had interactions with those guys. Yeah, I've had personal interactions with those guys who made that statement that you're talking about. If I was in the let's call it the repossession business for a major U.S. capital firm, and we had to go in. It was $1 million lease that we were trying to get our equipment back, and the only way to do it was to actually run the business to find out where all the things were. And so we go in there. Long story short, we have 6 security guys and county sheriffs and equipment guys, and we're a full team. We go in there, we get access to the building, and I'm not there 2 hours. Tom, 2 hours. I get the tap on the shoulder from my security guy. He's like, hey, we have to go upstairs and have a conversation. I'm in the middle of this already, come to find out that the property was owned by one of the well-known syndicates in the Bronx. Yeah. And that was, it's like, okay, we're going to let you do business and what you need to do, but you're going to make a payment to the archdiocese. It's like, all right.
And you know what happens if you don't?
Exactly.
Calamity will befall your business.
Yeah, you never know how things are going to roll out. And it's like, now along those lines, I know that you have a pet peeve. All right, we're going to talk about your pet peeve, and it has to do with legal services.
You mean online legal services?
Let's call it network marketing legal services. You know the group?
Network marketing legal services.
Yes, the legal services that are sold by network marketers.
Okay. Yes.
Got it. I have an opinion of that group, and I know you have an opinion of that group. I don't know that we want to say their name, but I think everybody knows that, if it rhymes with field, you probably know who we're talking about. Now, Why is that not a good idea? It's like when you're growing a business, you don't know what you don't know. Just like the image thing and the ADA thing, you're going to depend on third parties to guide you. Now, if you're starting your business and well, I have to get an LLC, I have to get an S corp, I have to get some kind of designation, right? And you see tons and tons of ads for people who can do this service, right? And then your insurance buddy comes up and says, "Hey, man, I'm working with this group over here. We can do that." Good idea or bad?
Uh, Actually, there's another company that rhymes with Doom, who I hate a lot more than the one that rhymes with Field.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I can speak on this one too. I haven't had dust ups with the Field company, but I've looked at when I was a young lawyer, when I was like a second year lawyer and just figuring out how am I going to feed myself and pay my rent this month. I looked into them. I looked at their contract and went over it, and I found that the rates they pay the lawyers, and this was 17 years ago. I'm sure it's improved, but the rates they were paying the lawyers are not going to attract quality legal talent.
Well,
It's
exactly.
going to attract people who are looking how to pay their rent,
Yes.
people who don't have a ton of experience. So for me, I would never even entertain the thought of being in that network because I'm going to lose money doing it. And so you're not going to get quality legal talent. And I actually had a case once where I found out that the lawyer on the other side came through that network. And I'm not saying anything about the quality of his lawyering, but because I know like he's really limited with what he's making on it, he didn't have his attention on this thing at all.
Right.
And so he was basically just forwarding emails from his client. His client was throwing grenades, and he was just forwarding them without filtering them and doing what a lawyer should do, like control your client. And he wasn't doing that. And that could be just on him personally, but I put that on the fact that his client came through that network.
Right.
So I say stay away from that because it's like legal insurance. You're paying a monthly fee, and I just don't see a value of what you're getting. And if you have a real legal problems, it's not equipped to really help you with that. So
Right.
you'll be paying more money on top of whatever you've already been throwing away before.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the one that rhymes with doom. And if I'm a new business owner and I go through them, hurdles, hiccups, problems.
I analogize that to buying a suit off the rack. So you see this suit, it looks nice. You put it on, you take it home.
Wait,
Not
time
gonna
out,
fit
Tom.
you.
Time out. You and I both know we don't wear suits anymore. So are we going to Men's Warehouse? We're going to Joseph A. Bank. We're going to Dillard's. Where are we going to get this off the rack suit?
Oh, okay. So years ago, I did buy suits off the rack at Men's Warehouse because I was broke and didn't know any better. But actually, the most recent suits I did get from Men's Warehouse, but I sprung for the tailor.
Oh,
And
okay.
so they actually fit me well. But if I just go in there myself and just buy them off the rack and walk up to the front counter and pull out my credit card, they will charge me and they will sell me the suit. And they're not doing anything wrong. But that suit is not going to fit me as well as if I went in the back and tried it on and had it tailored for me. And so that's the analogy is that if you buy from these online services, you're just going to select something. But is that really what you need? Is that really going to fit you? It's probably going to be ill-fitting because you're picking it and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would go one step further. If you're not sitting down with your financial advisor or CPA or accountant and also understanding what the ramifications of those various methods are, that in conjunction with your attorney, you could be making some serious mistakes.
So not only do you not know what you don't know, so you don't know if what you're picking is the right fit for you. In addition to that, the nature of this service, I've seen it too many times. And if anyone who follows me on social media knows, about once a month, they'll see me railing about this. I'll be on a consultation with someone. Oh, yeah, I've got a trademark already. Oh, you do? Cool. Let me look it up. No, you don't. Well, I paid this service to go get my trademark. Well, they never filed it.
Yeah.
Or they set up someone's LLC, but they don't tell them about a subchapter S election, so they don't know that's available to them. They don't tell them about the statement of information that's due annually, so it never gets filed. Sometimes they don't get the EIN. So they think they have their company up and running, and it's not. Or even worse, you don't know what to do next. So like I set up my company, great, I'm set up, I have this LLC. Then the next year comes around. You don't know that you've got an annual tax you got to pay the state of California. You don't know that you got an annual statement you got to file with the state of California. All of a sudden you're suspended.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you can't even legally contract or prosecute a claim in court because the company you hired took your money and then forgot about you. Whereas if you have a professional working with you, now you got someone you can go to and have a relationship with and ask the now what questions. And so I spend a lot of my time fielding phone calls, text messages, and emails from my clients asking about these. Okay, now what? Or how about this? But we have that relationship and they've paid me and I will give them my time to do that. And that's included in my flat rate. These companies won't do that. They're not your lawyer.
Right, right. All right. We're getting close to the end of your available time here. So I want to know, what is something you did radically different than your peers 5 years ago that led to pushback from them, but served you well in the long run?
Gosh, I don't know if I got pushback from my peers, but I did my own trademark. I screwed it up. I had a side business a few years ago and got my first trademark. My first client was myself. I kind of screwed it up, didn't know what I was doing, fixed it, got it through the system, got my first registration. I taught myself this practice area. And I taught myself by teaching workshops and teaching others about it. And in the process, I was the student. And in the last 5 years, I've done about 150 trademarks. So I just went off and blazed my own trail. I wasn't looking for this. It just kind of fell in my lap. And now it's my primary practice area. And it's just something I did just kind of randomly as kind of a vanity thing. And now it's like it's a big part of what I do.
Okay, very good. All right, last question. What's something you didn't pay enough attention to or ignored early that you then had to learn the hard way?
Oh gosh. This isn't a story I like to share, but when I was a brand new lawyer, like a second year lawyer, I once filed a lawsuit on behalf of a client, claiming my client is an LLC in good standing and we're trying to enforce a contract, a real estate contract. Turns out, oh, oops, yeah, the LLC never got filed.
Ooh.
And now the contract's void because it's with a non-entity. So that was something I learned very early in my career. So now I'm hyper vigilant that whenever I'm dealing with an entity in any capacity, I go look it up at the Secretary of State and make sure it actually exists and is in good standing. I never take the party's word for it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Excellent. All right. So, Tom, tell us how people can find you and tell us who you serve.
First of all, I serve business owners. You could be an existing business owner or you could be a startup. As long as you're coachable and you accept that you don't know everything and you see the value in hiring a professional so you can get out of the way and stay in your zone of genius and grow your business and not be an amateur lawyer. Those are the kind of people I like to work with. I can be found on social media. I got Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'm most active on Facebook. If you want to connect with me, my website is ladegaardlaw.com. I know my website sucks. I'm going to burn it down and rebuild it. So spare me for that. But that's how people can find me.
Awesome. This has been a great interview, Tom, and I've learned a lot because I don't know anything about the trademark side of things.
Well, I'm happy to educate you and happy to educate others. And I've got a YouTube channel where I have videos up that explain how trademarks work as well.
Great. We're going to put links to all of that in the description of this video.
All right. Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks, Tom.